Messiah. He's on his way. He's going to bring all the religions together as one. You know, that's what the Antichrist is meant to do. And he's supposed to come before the return of Christ. You know, according to theologians. And I was thinking about this, where the Messiah, well, he's going to be announced. But just like David, Stephen, before he got elected Trump, the World Bank leader, it wasn't actually Stephen or David. It was some other dude put in place. But Trump is still announcing the authority that they've given to Steve. Because Stephen, before he was elected, it was a good deal, right? And then Darius Shepard, you know, he was announced as the MVP. Another guy, Trump was really excited, like when he, not even when he announced the quarterback of the football team that won, you know, they basically won the season, the little season, for the 7 out of the last 8 years, championships. 7 championships, last 8. He wasn't even that excited to announce, what was his name? Something Stick. You know, like representing the stick, stirring up, getting into the cluster of vines prepared. So he wasn't even that excited about announcing him. And the kid was already a Tom Brady, because and a political figure, because you could see that it was very well prepared. And Trump even said he's going to be the next Tom Brady, which means he's you know, he already knows, which means he's already in the Illuminati in college. And so when he announced Darius Shepard, you know, King Darius, the wide receiver MVP player that averages 25 points per system, just like Hitler does, he was very excited to announce Darius, you know, his first year of reign. Which brings me to what I said yesterday. Is Steve really going to be in the limelight, the mainstream media? Is he really going to show his face? He will definitely be announced. Let's put it that way. That's something I'm absolutely positive about. And he'll probably be announced as the name. What was your name? Would it be Ben David? Well, no, because you already announced that as the. It's not going to be the same name. The World Bank leader was already announced as David, but Stephen, because Trump threw that word in there. And then the MVP was already announced as Darius. I'm sorry. Darius Shepard. So what would be? Well, yeah, maybe it's Ben David, even though Trump said that name too when he said the name Ben and David and Steve, all in the same conference, announcing him as the World Bank leader. I don't know, Steve, what are you going to tell him? What's your name? Right, is it going? I know it is. James. Something James, right? That's if you don't appear. Now, here's the thing. Whether Steve appears on the mainstream media before May 21st or not, either way, he's going to plan on showing himself to the world, because I think most people know that the false Jesus will appear first. I think even Steve might have said that, like the fake Messiah will appear to Jerusalem first, because that's what the Jews believe. Rabbi Fish over there, I mean, not that they believe it, not the ones that are in on it, they're just playing a role. But the ones that are blind over in Israel, that's what they believe, that the Messiah will appear, even though he already did 2,000 years ago. But they're looking for him for the first time. But he will be announced on March 21st. And it'll definitely be announced before April 9th. And he's going to bring all the religions together. So that's what the Messiah does, huh? He brings all of the religions together. Is that why people believe that it'll be an Antichrist? Because they think that's impossible? Probably. Because what I'm saying is that, well, that is going to happen. All religions are going to come together. It's just not going to happen because of one man walking the earth saying that he's the Messiah. It's going to happen through, well, major deception. It's going to happen through the deception of the elite playing out their little plan, the little movie at the end. And then it's going to happen because Satan played you guys. You know, the elite. He played you. He promised you everything. I mean, he got you guys ready to... Like, there's not one of you that are like... whatever, man. I mean, Robin might have a couple things right, but come on. Like, we know we're parking the sun. And our technology is... It is A+. And there's no way that God is gonna do anything. God hasn't shown his face in years. I mean, since the Hurricane Joplin, to May 22nd, 2011. I mean, but besides that was that was one of them things that was just like it was a coincidence. All right, that's all it was, guys. It was just it wasn't on our radar. We didn't stir that one up for sure, but. You know, sometimes God can, you know, he can throw you a curveball there, and you could get like a storm that you weren't predicting. But other than that, he hasn't shown his face. Whatever, he ain't doing anything. And Robin, hey, well, let's just hope he's delusional, okay? All right, guys, let's just pray, you know, to me that he's delusional. So what I'm telling you is, I'm bringing all religions together. Does that make me the Messiah? I'm just telling you how all religions are going to get along. And, you know, it's like, it's the best way of doing it. Can you imagine, well, anybody can, you imagine something happening, and then but it doesn't happen, and then you go through the motions of, like, all right, let's say you're at my cat one time. He ran out the door. This was years ago, and we thought because he just ran because the dog chased him. This other dog that we had. This dog is pretty unintelligent, but he chased the cat out, and the cat left, and it was gone. And we just thought we weren't going to see it again. And we started to really appreciate the cat when it was gone. And then we put some pictures out there and taped them up to some telephone poles. And we kind of mourned his loss. You know, we thought that was it. And then the next day, or was it the next night? Later on that night, we heard him outside underneath the car, and he was meowing, and then we found him. And then after that, he was pretty cool, and because he was a little bastard cat. And but then the point is, we went through the motions of feeling sick because, you know, you lose an animal. It's just not cool. You have him for a few years. You're adjusted to it. Like it's like if you heard news that someone in your family just died or whatever, and then they call you back later and, oh no, wait, that was the wrong report, sorry. You know what I mean? It's something like that, where you mourn the loss of something 7 times passes over you. Imagine 7 days going by feeling that way, and then for God to just be like, psych, just kidding, you should have paid attention, because he creates evil and he allows Satan to do his thing, free will. So to be able to go through this, you know, starting May 14th comes around, right? And then all of a sudden there's 3 days of darkness. Not literal darkness. Spiritual darkness. Because everybody in the world who believes in a rapture is going to say it's no later than May 14th. So it's no later than May 14th because it's 70 full years. Come that day, the 14th, 15th, people are going to be sick. The true, you know, Bible goers, church goers, Bible thumpers that believe that they're going to float up in the air. And not even just if they go to church, even if some of you people believe the same thing, that you're going to disappear. And all I can say is I believed the same thing 7 years ago, and then I understood that part was a spiritual rapture. Spiritual, your soul. The 144,000 was poured out back in 2011, and Steve knows that for sure, absolutely. So there's going to be 3 days of like sickness and darkness in people's minds and hearts and souls that believe that. And you might be one of them. And then, to make matters even worse, feeling that you're left behind or you're just not going anywhere, to make matters worse, on the 17th, 18th of May, when the fake, okay, it's a fake rapture. All right, it's not real, but if you want to believe it, go ahead. Once that fake rapture happens, then that's like pouring salt on the wound, because now all these people are, not only did they feel the 3 days of darkness of disappointment of nothing happening, then here comes the fake rapture. They're left behind, and they believe that too. So it just makes it worse. And then from the 17th, 18th of May, yup, Obama's taken over. He just says it, and after a few days it'll be destroyed, because America will be completely bombed out, and the sun will go and set, and it won't rise. And that's where I come in at and say, well, when that sun doesn't rise for those next 3 days and a half and some change, that's when God decides to flick the switch, and that olive leaf is plucked off, because Noah knew after the 40 days. Now the 40 days begins on March 24th, you know, Sunday morning, because the way I do my calculations is I add from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So and then there's another 3-day period, which is March 21st, when Steve will be announced as the Messiah, whether it's through the same way Trump has been doing it, through another person, but it's talking about Steve, or Steve actually literally does get up and shows his face. But we will be shut down on YouTube because they can't have any of us saying anything. They need as much people as possible to spread disinformation. They have to. So when we are all done, there's no discrepancy, there's no conflict. It's not, everybody is yes, yes sir, yes, yes'm. That's what they are. They're all yes'ms. So because they're all yes'ms, all the people that are clicking on, well, they're gonna watch nothing but videos of people who are liars. Now, I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't even know if we're gonna be allowed to comment, you know? Probably not even that. We'll probably go, Steve will probably set up a law where your IP address or wherever you're at, you're being watched. If you even log on to YouTube, if you even make a comment, you're getting locked up, thrown into prison, right? So they're gonna need, for the next 40 days, they're gonna need, because the 40-day period from the 24th, the beginning of 24th to, you know, May 17th, 18th is 40 days. And then that's when apparently the Messiah will ascend into heaven, along with the rest of the, you know, the church, the rapture, the people. And so that's how I see it. And then 3 days, 3.5 days, once Trump's gone, and Pence, and, you know, everybody, it's like, all right, well, hey, Obama, come on, you know. But it's really Steve. It's like, hey, Steve. But see, Steve takes reign after Obama goes, because it's like there's those 3 kings or leaders or something. Trump's one of them. He's gonna be taken out of here, and then the Antichrist, you know, the story of the Antichrist appears. After a few days, he's destroyed, and then another one comes. The other one that comes is Steve. Steve comes last. Just like, you know how my dates are the last of everybody else's dates? And that's not just because I'm like, well, I'm going to go last. No, it's because everything lines up perfectly later. That's why when Noah, the true 40 days is, wait a minute. I think I just got something wrong. Yeah, I did. March 23rd, pray that your flight's not in the winter, the Sabbath. The 24th, the 40-day period from then is May 3rd. That's why I said on May 3rd, Iran will bomb America. Okay. And then, but the true 40 days, I'm telling you, is from April 7th. The beginning of wars. No, that was last year. The declaration of World War III. Okay. April 7th. Bank on it. From that point on is the real 40 days. So I got to tell you what the elite's script is, and I got to tell you what God's script is from the scriptures, and then tell you what everybody's going to believe and who isn't going to believe what and when and why. And it's weird because I got to literally take the way that I think out of the equation, put myself in the American public's shoes, and think how they're going to perceive what they see, and then take myself out of there, put myself in Steve's shoes, or slippers, whatever he has, and then take the way that I think, and think the exact opposite, like a 180 perfect degree turn and think that way. That way I can get the perspective of, you know, I can take the pulse of the world and see what they're all gonna think. So that's the real 40 days in my view, in my vision, from the beginning of the declaration of World War III on April 7th, 2 days before the elections. And that 40-day period, at the end of 40 days, Noah, right, he opened up the window of the ark and he peeked out and he's like, and he sent forth the dove. First the raven goes to and fro until the waters are dried up from off the earth, cleansed, dried up. The second month, the 27th day of the month, which is also going into evening, morning, is also the first year, the 601st year, the first month, the first day of the month is June 1st, because it's a continuance from Enoch's calendar. It's a continuance. It even says the waters decreased continually, and then underneath that, and the ark rested on the top of Mount Ararat, okay? Rested on the top of Mount Ararat. On the 10th month and the first day of the month. The 10th month, according to Enoch, is January. And the first day, the continuance. This is all, Enoch's calendar is about a continuance of whatever it was that happened. The beginning part is the first month, first day. That's how it works. And then the 10th month, the first day of the month, is January 1st. And the ark rested, well, I'm sorry, the ark rested on, try to get this straight. It's, the waters decrease continually and then continually, and the ark rested on the 7th month, the 17th day of the month. And that is a continuance of the 70-year nation of Israel becoming a nation in 1948, May 14th, 1948. Just add the 7 months. It's the 70 years, it's the 7 months, and the 17 days is New Year's Eve morning. And then the confirmation that this is how God writes the Bible, just telling you, the confirmation of that exact date is said right underneath the next verse, which is, it rested on the top of the mountains, right? You know what I mean? And then on the 10th month, the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. Now think about that. Are they seen like, I can see the tops of the mountains, guys? Or, and I just came to this conclusion last night, are the tops of the mountains seen? Like, hey, we're resting on the top of Mount Ararat, guys, and I can see the tops of the mountains because we're resting on top of it. In the 7th month and the 17th day of the continuance of the 70th year anniversary of Israel becoming a nation again, and the confirmation of the 10th month, the first day of the month, with the Enoch calendar, which is January 1st. Evening, morning. So that's how God confirms it with me anyway. And then in the 601st year of Noah's life, the first month, the first day of the month, which is a continuance from the time that the earth is cleansed on the 2nd month and the 27th day of the month, which is May 31st, evening, morning, June 1st. That's the amazing part about it. And the floodgates opened in the, you know, the self-same, in the 600th year of Noah's life. The self-same day, the second month, the 17th day of the month, the floodgates were open. So it is an entire year that the floodgates are open, and then from the time that the waters are abated. The waters are also abated, ironically enough, from the time that the government shutdown happened, December 21st and 22nd, because it's evening, morning, it happened right at basically midnight in the 22nd. So you take from the 22nd, add 150 days, go ahead and do it. It lands right on May 21st, 2019, which is the second month, the 17th day of the month, when the waters will be abated. The gospel will be done. All right? And then when Noah, after the 40 days, which is the 17th evening, morning, into the 18th of May, he let the dove go out. The dove found no rest for its soul, so it came back. The waters weren't abated yet, because the waters were upon the whole face of the earth. The whole face, it's upon everybody. And so he stayed yet other 7 days, let the dove go back out. The dove came back with an olive leaf, just a leaf plucked off, not a branch, not a tree, an olive leaf. So that transition point from there on, from that point on, when the sun actually rises up, when God flicks the switch, Noah knew that the waters were abated. He didn't know before the 7 days beforehand. He knew 7 days after, when he sent the dove out there. The waters were abated 3.5 days before that. And that's why from the 24th to the 31st, evening, morning, June 1st, the next 7 times they're going to pass over the elite, that's when they're going to know. It's a done deal. You know, this is really actually going to happen, and I know that nobody believes it, just me, because I'm supposed to believe it, and I'm supposed to tell everybody, and that's how it all works. And in the second, see, these days it's Noah's birthday, is what it is. And that 600th year of Noah's life, it's talking about his exact 600th year of his life, which is the second month, the 17th day of the month, which is May 21st. And then in the 601st year, well, it's 1 full year later, the waters were abated. Because that's why Noah sent the dove out, to see if the waters were abated. They weren't at that specific time after the 40-day period. Not yet. 3.5 days later, as he's still in the ark, he knows that once he goes back out, sends a dove out 3.5 days later, he's going to see that the waters were abated, you know, like already, but not beforehand, only afterwards. So there's that. And there's 150 days twice. There's 150 days where the waters prevail exceedingly, right? And there's 150 days where the waters decrease continually. So how do you figure that one? Because the waters are going to decrease. The gospel is decreasing. It's decreasing continually, but at the same damn time, the waters are prevailing exceedingly. So it's kind of like an oxymoron. That's why people say that the Bible's a contradiction. It just contradicts itself. Well, it's because you can't see what it spiritually means. And it also talks literally about literal water, and it talks about spiritual water and the gospel. And people are considered water. The sea sea of people, water. We're made up of nothing but water, basically. So that's why people don't believe the Bible, because it sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. It's perfect. It is absolutely perfect. And so I'm just trying to think of the rest of. I mainly focus on Genesis 7 and of the 8th chapter. They are the two biggest, most important chapters in Genesis for this time right now, because it's going to be the same as it was in the days of Noah. That 150-day period that Trump started when the government shut down, it ends when the waters are abated. They know that. That's why they did it that way, because they know that the waters mean the gospel. They know that it's going to decrease, and it's going to get beat down, because when the waters are being abated, it's a continual lessening of what's in mind. So whatever it is that's in mind, it's a continual beat down to where it's just like it doesn't even matter anymore. And then when the earth is dried, because it's two different things. The water being dried up and the water being abated are absolutely two different things. One is a decreasing, the abated, and dried up means that's it. It's completely, the earth, which is the people, are dry because they were cleansed from the waters. You know? When you get out of the shower, you're wet. If you're in the shower for 40 days, or 40 minutes, or 40 seconds, whatever. If you're in there for 40 seconds, and you get out, you're soaking wet. You know, the shower is abated. You have abated the shower. You've now stepped out of the shower and you're soaking wet. If you stand there long enough, yeah, it'll all drip down. You'll eventually dry. It might take 10, minutes, but the waters are dried up from off the face of the earth because everybody got themselves their towel, and then they got their white robe. Once you get your white robe, you are dry. So yes, it is happening. It is. It's the most damn amazing thing ever right now, is to know that this is happening.